Disclaimer before we begin this episode of Wheels of Fury, I just want to mention that I said in a prediction video that this was a look back at you series. It's a regular look back at, so. Alright, on with the show.
I can never take it slow. Got that fire roar. Wheels of fury tear the track. Hear that engine soar. Me back, shifting gears, push it to the core. Kill a Kyle on my tail. Feel the tension roar. Ain't no rules in this game. Every breath I fight. Pound the pedal, scream for speed through the endless night. I walked away from your gilded lie. Degrees.
Hey, Matt here. This is Killer Kyle, and welcome to another look back at Wheels of Fury.
Yeah.
And we just had Survivor Series in Vancouver, British Columbia. Why not talk about when we had the last pay-per-view in Vancouver, in your house, Rock Bottom.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm hoping to get this uploaded on the 18th, which will be a Saturday.
Right.
So, spoilers. But anyways, yeah. I mean, I was gonna do this myself, and then I thought, well, you know what? We always have done an In Your House look back at pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And I figured this would be a good time to do this, and it was actually a really good pay-per-view. I'm gonna try to remember some of it.
Exactly right.
But 1998,
Yes, sir.
and this was right after Deadly Games, which was also a good show.
Right. Yeah.
Actually, well, that's kind of what brought me back into watching wrestling full time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It just seems fitting that we just came off a Survivor Series War Games at Vancouver. So threw it back some years to 98 and do this pay-per-view. Vader House, Rock Bottom.
yeah, and once again, we will talk about what happened on Sunday Night Heat after we talk about the pay-per-view.
Right.
And yeah, so
Mass decay! I climb their ladders, but the rungs are weak. I've got no need for the world they see.
but we've got D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry versus with a team of looks like the Godfather and Val Venus.
Yeah, supply and demand.
Yeah. Now I know that Sean and Charles were a tag team at this time. I didn't remember them having a tag team name, but then of course you have PMS. It looks like Terry Reynolds and Jacqueline.
Jacqueline and Terry, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark and D'Lo were an interesting tag team. And I think this was not long after Nation of Domination.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, when you think about it, The Rock just left the Nation to go on to bigger, better things.
Right.
And then, of course, you know, the night before Survivor Series, he had the last qualifying match where The Rock beat Mark Henry, and then went on to become the WWF champion
Right.
at Deadly Games. So, and then yeah, you have also Godfather who was in the nation as well.
Yes.
But I'm sure this was a good match. And, you know, you look at Val Venus and his porn gimmick, you know,
Yeah.
attitude,
Oh, yeah.
the Godfather and his pimp, you know, whatever. Yeah, it was an interesting time to be a fan.
Oh, you got that right. A pimp and a porn star as a tag team.
I mean, I know I was just fresh off of being a teenager. Well, actually, I would have turned 14. So I know you were what, 8? No, you were 9.
98 would have been. You would have been 14, so it would have been 10? No, 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9.
So I don't know if you were allowed to watch it. It was just one of those, you know, okay, we're gonna try to beat WCW, and you know, let's go edgy. And this is, you know, November '97. So you look at the times, and it's like, yeah. And I said this before. I did watch some of it in '96, and I remember Mankind and his Rat George,
Yeah,
and thinking we're not in Toto anymore, Kansas.
exactly.
So, you know, it was a good time all around, and honestly, we'll get into like the year after this because that's when I remember it the most and how much of a fan I was. And yes, despite all the title changes of '99, yeah, but enough of my tangent. This was a good match.
Right, yeah. On to the Headbangers taking on the Oddities.
Yeah, that was an interesting take team. I mean, you've got Insane Clown Posse who introduced the Oddities and then later on turned. I'm not even sure where they were on this card, but
Yeah.
you have Golga, you know, John Tenta.
Yes,
You've got Giant Salva from, I believe, Brazil.
I believe so, yeah.
You have Kurgan from, I think he was from BC. I know he was Canadian. And,
Right.
and then, of course, you know, managed by Luna.
Yeah.
It was an interesting take team
So you had
stable.
Golga, John Tenta, was from
Victoria.
Victoria. Kurgan was from Vancouver, I think. And then Luna, I believe, was from Montreal.
Yes. Yeah, the famous Vachon family.
That's not really.
And then, of course, you got the Headbangers, Mosh and Thrasher. And these guys, I think, were, I don't know the words. They were the definition of what it was to be a rocker in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
And you look at their gimmick, and it's like, these guys were awesome. These guys had very good feuds, yeah, with the Oddities. Also, the New Age Outlaws.
Yeah.
I believe they might have had one with LOD,
I think so, yeah.
but yeah, you know what? They were incredible.
Yeah. The Headbangers were, you know, as the name says, what was a representation of, you know, rock music or metal music back in the 90s.
Yes.
And even you look at their names, Mosh and Thrasher, you know, Mosh pits and like the Thrasher music
Yeah.
and whatnot. And then the Oddities, you know, you had you had Kurgan and Giant Silva, the two big guys. Golga was just, at this point in time, he was like the South Park super fan
Yeah.
of obsessed with Cartman.
Yeah, he had a big plushie. That was cool.
And then Luna was like just a crazy woman.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just one of those things where, you know, it's kind of too bad the way it went with her.
Yeah.
I know she had went out with Bam Bam Bigelow in real life.
Right.
And yeah, she had a lot of demons. And I think that if she were alive today, I mean, look, she was inducted into the Hall of Fame. You know, they talked about her in Dark Side of the Ring. And yeah, I think if she was alive today, who knows what could have happened.
Oh, yeah.
When she came in the WWF in '93, I think that it was, I mean, I wish I would have watched wrestling, women's wrestling, rather, at that time, because she was one of the best.
Oh, absolutely, hands down. And we're doing this video now, and before this, we watched an old video of ours from 5 years ago
Yeah.
when we covered AWA's Wrestle Rock from '86, and this is like 15 years later, or
Yeah, hold on.
17 years?
12.
years later. So, yeah, but like, she was a part of the 10-woman battle royal, but they called her Leon Vessel?
Yeah.
Or Leon? Something like that. But yeah, she was a hell of a wrestler. And, you know, she would more or less end up just becoming a valet, as you will, or a manager,
Yeah.
managing, you know, the oddities, managing, of course, Bam Bam Bigelow. I think she managed a few other people as well. But Bam Bam Bigelow is the most prominent one. Then, of course, you know, the oddities. I don't remember who else she may have managed, though.
Well, yeah, there's Bam Bam. She did come up with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 9.
Sean, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. She had a really creepy feud with Sable, but,
Yeah.
you know, she was ahead of her time, really.
Oh.
When you look at where wrestling was going in the mid-'80s, somebody like Luna, who basically, yeah, that's, you know, the nose ring, the nose chain ring, the gravelly voice, the half-shaven head with the tattoos,
Yeah.
you know, on her skull. And it's like, what an interesting woman. And her feud with Sherry was like, that was also intense.
Yeah, for sure.
Once again, it kind of scared the shit out of me. So I didn't really watch it that much, but,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, I wish I would have appreciated women's wrestling in the early 90s, but
Yeah.
it was not my thing, honestly. I think Japanese women's wrestling was much better in the 80s and 90s, but it is what it is.
Now we have the Lethal Weapon, Steve Blackman taking on Owen Hart.
Yeah, these guys had really good matches. I mean, don't discount the Lion's Den match
Exactly.
or the Dungeon match. But, oh no, that was with Ken Shamrock.
Yeah, it was with Ken.
But, yeah, these guys had a very good feud. And you look at, you know, Owen as one of the best wrestlers that was taken way too soon.
Exactly.
And to Steve's credit, I think he was a very good martial artist.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when you look at some of his matches, especially the hardcore matches, like, holy shit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, I really feel like the hardcore matches suited Blackman the best.
Yeah.
Like, he has some really good matches, like, just straight up matches. Like, things he could do in a hardcore match, my god.
Yeah, so So this one ended up in a count out, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they would continue to have some really good matches. Again, Owen doesn't get enough credit and
Yeah.
should have been the WWF champion. In fact, if that accident didn't happen, I know that's where it could have led to. And
Potentially.
I think the fact that there was also, he wanted to leave the wrestling business,
Right.
but I think deep down, being a part of a wrestling family, you know, it's kind of like, who knows where he could have gone.
Exactly.
Up and down won't cage my mind. Their hollow goals are always undefined. I'll shred the script, I'll write my own lore.
Now we've got a 6-man tag match. You've got the Brood taking on the Job Squad. This is a team that, in my opinion, isn't really talked about a lot. And probably not really remembered. And Al Snow, Bob Holly, and Too Cold Scorpio.
Yeah, I mean, that was an interesting stable back then. Yeah, you started having these underrated stables like the Job Squad or the Union. I think those are the two most underrated ones. But nonetheless, yeah, I think these guys were definitely an interesting stable. I think the Brood Media was a part of it.
I think so, yeah.
But yeah, definitely you had the Brood take them out early on, and I think Christian got the pin.
I believe so, yeah.
So yeah, this was a pretty good match too. Obviously, the Brood are a very interesting tag team. At that time, I think, you know, you talk about the rock and roll thing and everything else. You had a lot of shows and movies about gothic stuff and vampires and all of that, and I think the Brood really spoke to that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You talk about Luna Vachon being ahead of her time in the mid-'80s. I don't remember any stable or wrestler, maybe besides The Undertaker, that gothic.
Yeah. Like, The Undertaker was meant to be, you know, this dead, undead character, if you will. The Brood, though, was like, as you say, the cult, vampire, kind of gothic group that, you know, were quiet, didn't really speak much, and, you know, they were very mysterious.
Yeah,
And then, you know, they can get in the ring and kick your fucking ass.
pretty much. And I mean, like, I'm not sure when Adam Copeland is going to return.
Right.
I know that Christian is still wrestling in AEW,
Yes.
and Dave is got his podcast.
Right.
It's under the Gangrel name.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he was gonna be set to wrestle on AEW. I'm not sure what happened as well.
Yeah, really.
But yeah, a very good stable, and I think I'm not sure. Like, they were around for another year, and then they just became Edge and Christian.
Yeah.
Gangrel left, and he came back for a little while, and then that was it.
Yeah.
And then wrestled in other promotions after that. But
And of course, there was I would say, probably 6 months or whatever it was, that they were a part of the ministry.
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I had the ministry, the corporate ministry.
Yeah.
The whole fucking high power thing, and I think, you know, the Job Squad didn't last that long, really.
No. And of course, yeah, after, it was, I think before this or after this, you know, is when we got, I think it was after this that we got, you know, Hardcore Calling.
Yeah, yeah.
Gold Dust taking on Jeff Jarrett in a striptease match.
Yeah, that didn't really go anywhere.
No, not really.
I mean, yeah, Goldust really beat the shit out of Jeff, that's for sure. But I believe Deborah got involved, and
Yeah, Deborah got involved, hit Gold Dust with a guitar.
so yeah, after the guitar shot, there was a disqualification. And no stripping.
Yeah, I think the stipulation was like, if Gold Dust won, Deborah had to strip, and if Jared won, Gold Dust had to strip, or some stupid thing like that.
I know Shawn Michaels came out and did a segment or whatever. I mean, he was the commissioner
Yeah,
at this point, but I mean, that's kind of where it was in the late 90s with women's wrestling. It was tits and ass and pillow fights and all that crazy shit. And then it lasts all the way up to like the mid 2000s,
yeah,
you know? So it's, well, yeah, it is what it is. But,
yeah.
and yeah, Goldust was one odd motherfucker as well.
That's for sure.
You look at, you know, his debut in the 90s. Do
Yeah.
you think that was the seeds to the Attitude Era?
I'd say it was the start of it, because, I mean, Goldust's debut was 3 years prior to this.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And I know I mentioned this before. Like his promo in the ring with the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
I'm like, I heard things I hadn't heard 3 years prior.
yeah.
So it's like, wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was insane. But, you know, then again, you know, nobody would want to see Dustin strip.
No.
It was an interesting time. And it was, I don't know if they had any other matches, but
Yeah, I don't remember. Probably.
it just makes me wonder if Jeff Jarrett, like, wanted to wrestle Goldust, because you look at Scott Hall, who really didn't want to wrestle him.
Right.
Like Jeff Jarrett, another manly man who, you know, you look at his feud with like the Cat in China and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and you think, okay, he's gonna wrestle this guy who's very flamboyant and whatever. But oddly enough, you know, Dustin's from Texas,
Yeah.
where they make manly men, so it's like, for him to have this gimmick, it was interesting enough.
Yeah, I'm sure he, well, like, he had a bit of a hard time getting the concept of the character to, like, for the crowd to react to it, whatever. And it took a match with Savio Vega to really, you know,
Cap and gown won't cage my mind. Their hollow goals are always undefined. I'll shred the script.
their tag team titles. You got the New Age Outlaws.
Tag team
taking on
champions
Big
of the
Boss Man and Ken
world.
Shamrock.
Oh, this feud. Like, you talk about Degeneration X, and then you have the corporation.
Right.
And I mean, this is a time where the corporation was really taking off.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got The Rock as the WWF champion. You've
Right.
got Ken Shamrock as the Intercontinental champion. You've got the Big Boss Man as the Hardcore champion.
Yeah.
And I mean, these guys were the fucking best take team. And I think Boss Man, yeah, he was a take team wrestler in the late 80s.
Yeah.
You know, I think he could have had more of a singles title run, well, he did with the Hardcore title.
Yeah.
you know, Ken Shamrock. Here's a guy who came from an MMA background. And yes, he did some wrestling in Japan.
Yes.
But these two guys were a fucking good tag team. And I don't think they have as much credit as a tag team. I think they're very underrated.
Yeah, for sure. Very underrated.
And there was a point where, you know, the New Age Outlaws were gonna swerve the corporation, and they came out with suits on. You could see them coming out with the water bottle, and Raw Dog always comes out and he spits in the air, but all they do is they come out and they're like, and I don't think they do the second thing.
Right.
But yeah, well, basically that was just it. It was a swerve,
Yeah.
and they were still DX guys. But bottom line is, you know, these four guys had a very good feud,
Yeah.
and there was a point where Shamrock and Boss Man were the tag team champions.
Yes. Yeah. The New Age Outlaws got the win on this one.
Yeah,
Of course, they went into this match as a champion, so yeah.
yeah, and I mean, you look at where, you know, afterwards, you know, the corporation would break up in the late 90s or late, 99. And then, yeah, Boss Man came back for a while in 2001, I think, shortly before he passed away.
Right.
Ken Shamrock had a stellar career in TNA,
Yeah.
NWA champion, and yeah, is still one of the toughest guys in the business.
Yep.
Even though he hasn't been in the ring for I don't know how long. In fact, fuck, we got Tyson in the ring for his boxing match a few weeks ago. Why can't Shamrock go back in the octagon?
Yeah, really. I mean, Ken did wrestle briefly in TNA for a little bit. He had a few moves.
Yes, that's right too. Then, you know, Brian is an agent in WWE still, and Billy Gunn's in AEW killing it. So,
Yeah.
but New Age Outlaws retain the titles. It was one of the best feuds I can think of during this time.
Erupts where the masses applaud. I'm the riff that breaks their chain. Their fake success is my disdain.
And then we go on to a match for the WWF Championship. You got Mankind taking on The Rock.
Yeah, man. So we did cover the I Quit match in a Royal Rumble
Right.
where The Rock cheated,
Basically, yes.
but yeah, I mean, like I said, winning the WWF title at the Survivor Series, these two guys went at it a lot in the ring.
Oh, yeah.
You have that empty arena match.
Yeah.
That was awesome. You had Mankind eventually, well, January of '99. Well, it was taped in December. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Winning the WWF title for the first time.
Yes.
And then, yeah, losing it at the Rumble. But these guys had very good matches. And I think that has something to do with how brilliant, well, they both are, but Mick Foley.
Oh, yeah. Without a question. And, yeah. You got, Mankind putting Mandible Claw on Rock. Rock passes out. Ref stops the match. And then, you know, Vince gets involved. Mankind gets a hold of Vince, and then Shane hits Mick with a chair. Mankind gives him what for, but it ended up with a beat down by all three of them. And Rock leaving with the title. Like, do you not understand? This is my pay-per-view. It's my picture. Your face likeness up there.
Yeah, I mean, what the fuck did you think was gonna happen?
Yeah, really.
I mean, and it's kind of like, okay, that's how over Dwayne Johnson was.
Right, yeah.
Like, you had rock bottom pay-per-view. I actually think that's all the pay-per-views that have a name after him.
Yeah,
Or his catchphrases, rather.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's how over this guy was.
Oh, absolutely.
And it all goes back to, yeah, a guy that comes into the wrestling world and goes into WWF as Rocky Maivia
Yeah.
and is booed out of the fucking building.
Oh, yeah.
And then he gets injured. Then he reinvents himself, goes into Nation of Domination, and then eventually the crowd just goes, hey, this guy's cool now. And then, of course, leaving the Nation, becoming a face again, having a match with Mark Henry, going into the Survivor Series Deadly Games, having that tournament. And honestly, at that time, when I got it on VHS and I'm watching it, and I should have known, because I did watch wrestling at that time, I'm sure, so I should have known The Rock was a heel.
Right.
But just watching these matches, and then eventually having the recreation of the screw job, where he has the sharpshooter on Mankind, and Vince calls for the belt. And so, yeah, he goes into the corporation. And so, yeah, it was interesting because this was at a time where you had not only The Rock and Mankind's match, but The Rock and Stone Cold.
Yeah.
And I was in grade 9, and it was, again, a time where I was at a school where we had a lot of wrestling fans. And I hate to bring this up as an example, but it was like Twilight in a way, because it was like, you're either Team Rock or you're Team Austin.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was definitely Team Austin. I definitely wanted to see him open up a can of whoop ass on Rudy Poo piece of shit. So, I mean, this was a good time. And this was a good match. And like Kyle said, yeah, Mankind really put the mandible claw on the McMahons.
Yeah.
You know, and it was going to be the Mankind show. But the match got restarted, and The Rock won. And again, you knew that was going to happen. Main event, or the co-main event rather. Buried Alive, we've got Stone Cold Steve Austin, speaking of which, versus The Undertaker.
Yeah, it was a Buried Alive match for the right to compete in the Rumble the following year.
Oh.
99 Rumble, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we talk of The Rock and Mankind having good matches from late 98 to 99. Steve Austin and The Undertaker. I mean, you can go all the way back to 97.
Yeah.
You know, but these guys had a stellar match at SummerSlam.
Oh, yeah.
These guys just beat the shit out of each other here. And then, you know, you go on to Over the Edge 99.
Yeah.
A dark day that was. But these guys were the best when they were in the ring together.
Oh, absolutely.
Not only that, but you got 2 Texas boys.
Yeah.
And, man, I mean, if you want to go even further, WCW.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure at that time, Marcellus and Stunning Steve Austin had a match.
I'm sure they did, yeah.
So yeah, these guys knew each other. So I mean, this match was awesome, and I mean, buried alive matches were always awesome, and obviously always involved Undertaker.
Usually, yeah.
But yeah, they started in the ring. They made their way up into the dirt pile. You have Undertaker, who was gonna get buried, but then choked out Austin, and somehow Kane got involved.
Yeah. Have Undertaker do his entrance, and then Austin's coming out, and here comes Undertaker up the aisle to meet him, and Austin runs out and clobbers him with a clothesline, though Undertaker doesn't really go down. It's daggers him, but he doesn't go down. It's like, alrighty then.
Yeah, Kane did help,
Yeah.
and Steve Austin won, putting the dirt inside of the hole where Undertaker was buried,
Yeah.
and then opening a can of beer and pouring it in the dirt.
Yeah, exactly.
But this won't be the first time, which is kind of gives me chills now that I think about it, that Kane will help out in burying the Undertaker.
No, it was not.
I walked away from your gilded lie. Degrees of deceit and
Dwayne Gill take on Matt Hardy.
Yeah, I wonder if he got involved, or he was in the corner of his fellow Job Squad team. But Matt Hardy, like, oh yeah, it says that. But I'm actually surprised that Matt Hardy was in Heat instead of the pay-per-view. We'll get to
Yeah,
the next
really.
match, but
Yeah. This is for the light heavyweight championship.
oh yeah. Oh, Dwayne Gill ended up going over and retaining the title.
Yeah.
I mean, he was Gilbert, for fuck's sake.
they preach their worth, they sell their souls, but I found freedom in breaking the mold. Drop out.
Brian Christopher.
Yeah. I have no idea who Kevin Quinn was.
I don't either. Of course, Brian Christopher, we all know, is Grandmaster Sexay of Too Cool, or Too Much,
Yeah.
or
Jerry Lawler's son.
Jerry Lawler's son.
Yeah. There's another guy that basically don't do drugs.
Basically.
But yeah, Kevin Quinn won. Again, I gotta figure out who that guy was.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Not really all that familiar with Kevin Quinn, to be honest.
So now we go on to this match. Talk about somebody that should have been.
Gilded lie. Degrees of deceit in suits and ties.
Yeah.
Got Triple H, who had the New Age Outlaws in China in his corner. And he defeated,
Draws.
hell yeah, Draws, with Animal. So yeah, this was obviously when he was still with LOD.
Yep.
As Puke! And,
No, that was before.
well, that was before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Triple H won. Again, I don't really know why these two guys were not on the main card, because Triple H at this time was like a part of DX. He was the leader of DX.
Drop out. I chose my way. Fake smiles crumble.
Match where, coincidentally enough, you have the New Age Outlaws. This time they're taking on the Acolytes.
Yeah.
So we had New Age Outlaws twice on this show. Here against the Acolytes, and then a little later on in the show against Ken Shamrock and Big Boss Man.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to talk about two big Texas boys, like Ferg and Bradshaw. Actually, well, Ron is Georgia.
Yeah, Bradshaw was from Texas. Ron was from Georgia.
Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's funny because you look at Bradshaw's career, you know, it go all the way to Japan and come to WWE with Dirty Dutch as Justin Hawk
Justin
Bradshaw,
Hawk Bradshaw,
and of course, Barry Windham in the New Blackjacks, which I
Yeah.
remember.
Yes.
And yeah, and then of course the Acolytes.
Yes.
And I think that this team was one of the best teams in WWF. And I mean, going for years, you look at 98 to 2004,
About that, yeah.
and it's like, there was no better powerhouse take team.
Oh, yeah.
And Bradshaw is still going as we speak. Well, he's not wrestling.
No, he's just making appearances here and there and everywhere, clotheslining the fuck out of people.
Yeah. And Ron Simmons makes appearances in WWE periodically. But another guy who basically played football.
Well, they both did.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Bradshaw played collegiate football in Sweetwater, Texas, of course. Ron, it's very highly regarded and talked about Ron's time with Georgia Tech.
Yes. And then, of course, going to WCW and, you know, being the first black wrestler to become the WCW heavyweight champion.
Yes.
In the South, rather.
Yeah, in the South.
So, and then, you know, going into WWF in that baby blue gladiator outfit.
Yeah. I don't understand what the fuck the idea was behind that. The purpose behind it or whatever.
But, yeah, the New Age Outlaws won.
It was a disqualification.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense.
yeah, well, yeah, you know how I feel about DQs. But both guys, multiple, like, WWF Tag Team Champions.
No, absolutely.
And it's kind of like, yeah, also WWE Hall of Famers.
Yeah, oh yeah. And, you know, not very often would it happen, but every so often you would have what would happen here on this show. You'd have, you know, a tag team or a wrestler have a match on Sunday Night Heat, and then later on in the pay-per-view have a match as well.
Yeah, I know. Oh yeah, this is back in the day where some of them pulled up
Yeah.
duty. And, you know, yeah, and that's kind of, it shows you how important they were.
Oh, absolutely.
And, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so that was another episode of Wheels of Fury. Look back at, well, yeah, look back at Rock Bottom 98,
Yes, sir.
the one and only pay-per-view,
Yeah.
which I think, you know, WWF has done that a lot. You know, they had a DX pay-per-view, they have Rock Bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I can remember, actually.
Those are like the two main ones. Then of course, it was, I believe it was 98 or 99. I think 98 was the last year for In Your House.
Yeah,
Because that was when they switched it over to, was it Vengeance? Or Armageddon or something like that?
Oh no, it would have been 99 because I
Yeah.
know there was St. Valentine's Day Massacre,
Right.
which we did.
Yes.
But yeah, I figure that we do a lot of the in-house pay-per-views, which I think are important. I think one of the best secondary pay-per-views rather than the big four.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, yeah, they're always fun to do, but
Yeah.
next time we come at you, we got. I think we'll still do Saturday night's main event, but Final Resolution.
Yeah, final resolution is next Friday, the 13th.
Oh, we'll fit it in somehow. Maybe we'll just do that. I have no idea.
Like, I mean, we could.
Wait, you said the 13th?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
13th, yes.
Oh, yeah, so we're a ways away.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, yeah, so I'm not sure what else is there.
So, we have 2 pay-per-views there on a Friday. The next Friday, the 13th, you have Final Resolution. The following Friday, on the 20th, you have Final Battle.
Right.
And then, of course, January, December, we have World's End.
Yeah.
And then, of course, hopefully Matt and I will be doing our annual New Year's
Yeah.
extravaganza.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we will.
Yeah.
But we do have our holiday special.
Right?
Obviously pre-tape, but watch it anyways.
Yes.
And yeah, it's gonna be. This year is like. I said that last year. And the year before that.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, this has been another episode. We will talk to you next time. I mean Matt. This is Killer Carl. Have a nice day!
Later.
The wheels of fury, they spin, they roar. Never halting. The end's now calling.